Samsung Galaxy S24 Ultra versus Galaxy S25 Ultra. When Samsung releases a new Ultra phone, the conversation centers on two things: camera prowess and whether the incremental changes justify the upgrade. The Galaxy S24 Ultra, Samsung's 2024 flagship, set a high bar with a 200 megapixels main sensor, titanium frame on higher trims, and a refined S Pen experience. The Galaxy S25 Ultra, Samsung's 2025 follow-up, keeps the headline numbers but pushes refinement in display, performance, AI features, and some camera hardware and software tweaks. We compare the two across design, display, performance, cameras, battery and charging, software and AI, durability and extras, and finish with who should buy which phone. Design and ergonomics. Visually, the S24 Ultra and S25 Ultra are siblings. Both keep Samsung's premium visual language with large flat displays and squared corners, but the S25 Ultra subtly tweaks proportions and finish. The S24 Ultra offers a flat display, with slightly rounded corners, a clean rectangular camera island that integrates with the titanium frame in top trims, and an integrated S Pen slot. It feels familiar, balanced, and slightly slimmer in perceived thickness due to frame shaping. But on the S25 Ultra, Samsung trimmed the bezels and nudged the screen size to 6.9 without making the phone feel larger, thanks to tighter borders and efficient internal layout. The S25 Ultra's flat sides and slightly heavier visual presence come from the sturdier frame and tighter bezel-to-screen ratio. It can look chunkier in photos but feels well-balanced in the hand. Some reviews also note a tiny decrease in weight and thickness on paper, despite the larger screen. Both phones are premium. So, if you prefer a slightly more compact feel, the S24 Ultra shaping might look or feel a touch sleeker, but if you want the largest, most immersive display in a reasonably compact shell, the S25 Ultra wins. Display. Samsung continues to lead in mobile displays. Panels. Both use QHD plus dynamic AMOLED panels with 1 to 120 Hz adaptive refresh, HDR support, and extremely high peak brightness in direct sunlight. The S25 Ultra's panel is slightly larger, 6.9 versus 6.8, and benefits from slimmer bezels, giving a more immersive feel. Samsung also improved peak sustained brightness and color mapping in the S25 for easier outdoor viewing and more consistent color at different brightness levels. Practical differences. You'll notice the S25 Ultra's extra real estate when reading long articles, editing photos, or multitasking with split view, but the change is modest. The S25's slightly better brightness and a bit improved calibration are visible when both phones are side by side in tough sunlight or when HDR video peaks matter. If screen size, daylight visibility, and the most immersive media experience are priorities, the S25 Ultra takes a small but real lead. Performance. This is where the yearly upgrades usually show up. The S24 Ultra, launched with the Snapdragon 8 Gen 3 for Galaxy or Exynos variants in some regions historically, but recent Samsung strategy favors Snapdragon in many flagship markets. It's fast, efficient, and the S24 felt noticeably snappy across heavy apps, gaming, and multitasking. S25 Ultra. Samsung moved to the Snapdragon 8 Elite, often marketed as an overclocked tune for Galaxy Elite variant. Benchmarks and long-term testing show the S25 Ultra pulling ahead in CPU-GPU tasks, thermals under prolonged load, and AI processing throughput, which Samsung pairs with its on-device AI features. Tom's Guide and other outlets reported higher benchmark scores and improved real-world responsivity for the S25. What this means in practice: both phones handle everything you throw at them. The S25 Ultra feels smoother in heavy multitasking, offers slightly better frame rates in demanding games, and manages heat a bit better under long gaming or camera sessions. If you use resource-heavy apps or want the best headroom for future software updates, the S25 is the safer long-term pick. Cameras. This is the headline battleground for Ultra phones. Main hardware. Both phones keep Samsung's 200 megapixels main sensor, a proven performer, multi-stage telephoto lenses, including periscopic long-range zoom, and an ultra-wide. On paper, the headline numbers look similar, but Samsung's upgrades are a mix of sensor tuning, new ultra-wide hardware, The S25 gets a 50 megapixels ultra-wide in some markets, optical stabilization improvements, and, critically, computational photography updates in the S25. Samsung's product pages highlight an updated 50 megapixels ultra-wide on S25 and refinements to zoom and low-light processing. Software and AI. The S25 Ultra introduces deeper AI processing for scene recognition, noise suppression, and detail recovery, plus better portrait and night modes that stitch multi-exposures with fewer artifacts. Reviewers noticed the S25 producing slightly cleaner low-light shots with better texture retention and more natural colors in high-contrast scenes. The 200-megapixel sensor still benefits heavily from pixel binning, and the S25's improved ISP-AI stack helps extract more usable detail without exploding noise levels. Zoom and Tele. Samsung's telephoto performance remains a hallmark. Both phones excel in mid-range and long-range zoom, but the S25 often produces better stabilized long-range shots thanks to improved image processing and stabilization tweaks. If you rely on telephoto performance for wildlife, concerts, or distant cityscapes, the S25 delivers incrementally better results. Video. The S25 introduced modest improvements in video stabilization, dynamic range, and auto-exposure smoothing, useful for handheld 4K to 8K if you use those formats. Color science remains Samsung's more saturated/natural biased profile. The S25 exhibits slightly more faithful exposure transitions in mixed lighting. Conclusion on cameras. If you already own an S24 Ultra, the S25's camera improvements are meaningful but not revolutionary. Better computational processing, an improved ultra-wide option, and refinement to zoom/stabilization. For S23 or older owners, the jump to S25 will be dramatic. Battery life and charging. Both phones ship with roughly similar battery technology, but software and silicon efficiency influence real-world endurance. Capacity. Both devices use large batteries, around 5,000 mAh class. The S25's slightly larger screen and higher performance are balanced by a more efficient chipset and tuned software power management. Phone Arena and other spec sheets list similar battery capacities, with the S25 showing comparable or slightly improved endurance in mixed usage tests. Charging. Neither model radically changes charging speeds. Wired fast charging and wireless charging parity remain. Real-world charge times are close, and both phones support wireless and reverse wireless charging. Practical take. Expect a full day of solid use on either. The S25 may edge ahead by an hour or so in typical mixed use because of chipset and software optimizations. Software, updates, and Galaxy AI. Samsung's software strategy has shifted towards on-device AI and longer update promises. One UI and Android. S24 ships with Android 14 plus One UI iteration. S25 ships with Android 15 plus One UI 6.x or One UI 7 branding depending on region, and deeper Galaxy AI integrations. Samsung's S25 marketing heavily emphasized AI features, smarter camera assistance, on-device transcription, better summarization tools, and photo editing assisted by on-device models. Updates. Samsung continues to promise multi-year Android updates and security patches. The S25, being newer, gains a longer usable window, but Samsung's update policy covers both devices for many years. If on-device AI tools, real-time transcription, camera assistant, smarter multitasking are important to you, the S25 introduces more polished AI features that rely on its tuned silicon. Durability. S Pen. Both phones keep the S Pen experience. Latency and integration are top tier on both devices. The S25's enhancements are mostly software-driven, smarter note-taking, better OCR, and prediction. Build. Both have IP68 water/dust resistance and premium materials. S24's titanium trim was a standout. S25 keeps a premium build and slightly different finishing options. Connectivity. Both support Wi-Fi 7. In S25 it's more common, Bluetooth LE updates, and the S25 standardizes the Snapdragon 8 Elite across more regions for consistent performance. Price and value. Prices vary by region and promotions. At launch, the S25 Ultra commanded a premium similar to the S24 Ultra's launch pricing. Because the S24 Ultra has been on the market longer, You can often find discounts, trade-in deals, and carrier offers that make it substantially cheaper than the fresh S25 Ultra. Value rule of thumb: if you want the absolute newest hardware and AI features and will keep a phone for 3 to 4 years, the S25 Ultra is a safer long-term investment. If you want flagship camera and performance but want to save cash today, look for S24 Ultra deals. It remains a powerful phone. Real-world comparisons. Photos and low light. S25 produces cleaner, slightly more detailed low-light shots and slightly better ultra-wide fidelity thanks to hardware plus computational tweaks. Gaming and heavy apps. S25's chipset handles sustained loads a bit better, smoother frame rates during marathon play. Everyday snappiness and battery. Both excellent. S25 slightly better under stress and over a full day for heavy users. Design feel minor. S25 a touch bigger but more immersive. S24 might feel a smidge sleeker in hand for some. Software and AI. S25 brings more polished on-device AI tools, useful if you use note-taking, on-device transcription, or advanced camera assistance. Who should buy which phone? Buy the S25 Ultra if you want the latest chipset and the best long-term performance. On-device AI features and more advanced camera processing refinements matter to you. You use your phone for heavy gaming, photography, or content creation and want the modest but real improvements in stabilization, processing, and thermal handling. You plan to keep the phone for several years and want the newest software support window. Buy the S24 Ultra if you want flagship camera and productivity features, S Pen, but at a lower price today. You're upgrading from an older model, S23 or earlier. The jump to S24 or S25 is both huge. S24 will still feel modern and powerful. You value picking up deals, trade-ins, and discounts rather than owning the bleeding edge. Final verdict. Samsung's strategy with the S25 Ultra is iterative refinement rather than a reinvention. The S24 Ultra remains an outstanding flagship. Excellent display, spectacular camera hardware, and top performance. The S25 Ultra improves across the board in measured ways. Slightly larger and brighter display, a tuned and faster chipset, smarter on-device AI, and camera processing that nudges image quality forward. For most users, the S24 Ultra remains a great value. For power users, early adopters, and those who want the best possible imaging and long-term software/training for AI features, the S25 Ultra is the superior, if pricier, choice.